and welcome to Gag of the Millennial.
A show where we talk about pop culture, current events,
And spill the hot Darjeeling right into your lap.
scoldy-woldy, back to front, upside down, and spook the lesbian.
Spook the lesbian. Luxeria is now a lesbian.
Yes.
Hi, Luxeria.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm doing actually very well,
Look
thank
at
you.
her today. She
I
is
know.
delicious.
I
She's
am
gorgeous.
delivering a domination fantasy.
Ooh, and the devil.
And the devil,
And
yes.
the devoir.
And the devil laugh.
And the devil bottoms up. And that's such a weird throwback. Anyway, hello.
Hello. That's not what we're talking about
No.
today.
So you guys have loved both of our Am I the A-hole videos. And I think it's been about almost a year since the last one.
No, it hasn't. Stop,
It has.
stop
No, it has.
slandering
Our
the
first,
good name
our
of podcasting.
first one was before we moved into this house. And then we did one sort of like maybe a few months after moving in here. So it's been about a year since the last
I
Am I
don't
the A-hole post one.
Wow.
Long time. Doesn't time fly when you've got gounts? So today we're going to be doing another part of Am I the A-hole?
Yes.
This is a lot of fun. I love having divided opinions. So, of course, with all of these ones, please share your own opinions in the comment section below. If you agree, if you disagree, there is literally no wrong answer.
Well, I mean, unless it's like, I burnt my husband.
What did the husband do?
Oh, dressed like...
Wow! I knew exactly what you... I could see your lip movements was just about to say the name.
I was like, hang on, sis.
Wow. No, he did not dress like her. Right, so, anyway, guys, please hit the like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell to miss any videos coming up. Obviously, if you're listening to this on SoundCloud, hello.
Hi. I don't know what button you need to click, but click it.
Yeah, delete, report, flag. But anyway, so, let's get going.
Yes, let's.
So this one is called Am I the A-hole for cancelling a check of $12,000 that I wrote for my infertile friend for her next IVF cycle over a joke? I know.
Wow, that is a roller coaster, sis.
What a
okay,
thing.
right. So what we got? IVF, checks, money bouncing, and jokes. Okay, right.
Me, a female, 35, I'm infertile. My ex-husband and I tried everything to have kids, but it never happened. He divorced me, went and married some younger person who was able to give him a child, and from what I gather, they're expecting their second child together now. It hurts like hell seeing someone else give him what I could never have given him. I get frustrated with myself sometimes, and my family's blaming me for everything about our relationship falling apart. First of all, what a disgusting family.
Absolutely.
How could you be like, you're infertile, how dare, like...
If anything, it's their fault.
Like, what? So ridiculous. I turn to my friends for support, especially Alyssa, we're going to call her. She's in the same infertility boat as I am, but she and her husband are currently trying IVF and hoping it works. Alyssa asked me one day for help to pay for her upcoming IVF cycle. I agreed to write her a check for $12,000. I really wanted to help her, and the money came with no strings attached. What, this friend, like, can you imagine? That's such a, like... To give someone 12 grand for no strings attached, like you're like...
I would never for anyone.
Like a good friend,
like I could have a family member come to me and be like, I'd be like, get your own money, sis.
Like, wow.
Absolutely not.
So I wrote the check and gave it to her. The very next day, I got a sudden message from a mutual friend of ours called Carol with a screenshot of a conversation she had just had with Alyssa.
Oh,
Turns
God.
out she and Alyssa were talking about the next IVF cycle, and Alyssa said that she hoped the cycle would work because she didn't want to end up divorced and having a husband run off with a younger girl and giving her what I couldn't have given her.
Wow. Don't bite the hand that feeds
Okay.
you, sis.
Right.
Is that meant to be the joke in this story?
No, I
I'm
think that's
guessing so.
I was stunned and hurt. I knew she meant me here, but I did not confront her. I simply contacted my bank and cancelled the check. In the same evening, Alyssa called to ask why I cancelled the check, and I told her. She went batshit saying she didn't mean it that way, and it was meant to be an inside joke between desperate infertile women. Oh.
Desperate infertile women.
Well,
This story is hateful from start to
Hateful.
finish. The woman is she asking the question like, am I the arsehole because the check bounced?
Yeah, am I the answer for cancelling the check? She came over with her husband the next day begging I write her another check, but I refused. An argument ensued and her husband thought I was being unsupportive of a friend. She left crying and we haven't talked since. Her husband keeps reminding me while repeatedly calling Carol a toxic snake of the date of her next cycle, hoping that I reconsider.
Don't reconsider.
Oh
no,
my
they
God.
made their bed. They need to lie in it.
What
That
a
is hateful.
horrible. The thing is, inside jokes only work when you're telling it to the person who the joke is meant to be about.
Yes,
I can't.
that's it.
I can't make I can't.
That's bitching.
Like,
yeah,
you can't. Like, it's an inside joke. Well, the person's not there to laugh at it or
no. Inside means inside the friendship group that you're sharing it with.
It's so. But also, like, to make a statement that is really upsetting to the person. Like, her family is about the fact that her family's been blaming her.
12 grand.
I couldn't imagine. And you're like, oh, I don't want to end up and have my husband run off with someone load of giving some kids that I couldn't. Like,
that's not a joke either.
Not a
that's
joke!
not an inside joke. That's not like, how funny. That's like legitimate hate.
Trauma. Like, wow. Awful. But it just, like, people are so stuck in their own
character.
I'm the main character that they think they can just say and do anything. And, like, thank God Carol showed Alyssa. Carol seems like more of a friend.
Yeah, Carol's actually in this situation been like a good friend being like, I don't think that this is right.
Yeah.
She said this about you. I want you to know this.
So clearly it's not an inside joke if the other person's like, this isn't okay.
It's
like,
not okay.
Can you imagine?
Hateful. Do not permit people to take advantage of you like that, because that's once they know that they can get money from you, that's all she'll ever ask for.
Yes.
She'll expect the next cycle be like, oh, it didn't work, so I paid like 24 grand in total now. No, this is the thing when it comes to something like this. If it's a big, expensive thing, you have to pay for it yourself.
Yes. And also, like, friends and money most of the time don't mix well together. It's very difficult. And yes, like, there are certain situations you might be able to help someone if it's like a small amount, but when it gets to like big amounts of money, like 12 grand, like, that is
when it gets to money that you know will never be paid back.
Yeah, it's very difficult. Power imbalances, jealousy, like, there's so much stuff that can happen with that. Although it's a nice thing to do for someone, I just feel like there's more negative than positive that comes out of stuff like that.
Yeah. If it was like crowdsourced, it would feel different, because it's like we've all put together
like
towards
$1 or $2 each or something.
One person giving that much money feels something. There's a bit of a question mark there for me.
And I think it's sometimes as well, like, no matter how much you want to say there's no strings attached, later down the line, you might be in a tough spot and need money or help, and then the other person's like, no.
Well, see, this is exactly it. No strings attached, but she went and bitched about you, and then you've immediately thought, I really don't like that, actually. So
exactly.
The check. So it's not no strings attached. It's actually like you expected a friend to be there for you. And it behaved like a friend, and they didn't. And you're well within your right then to be like, well, actually, I'm not going to help you.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Yeah.
The consensus of that was this person was not the arsehole for cancelling the check.
Yeah, good. I'm not into it, girls.
No.
Die. Death. I feel like we need a wedding one.
A wedding?
I feel like we need a wedding.
Did we get married?
No.
Rejected at the pageant?
Yes. Am I the a-hole for kicking a girl I didn't know out of my wedding?
Oh, God, here we go. What's the tea?
The tea is...
I'm withholding judgment yet.
Oh, okay. You're a better woman than I, because I'm always like, no!
No, die!
My husband and I are both 27. We got married a few weeks ago, and he obviously is still upset about this, but I don't think I was wrong, so I thought I would ask here.
Okay.
We only gave +1s to married couples or if we knew this significant other very well. My husband has one childhood friend that was coming from out of state to attend. I've met him a bunch of times, but only his girlfriend of 3 years a few times because of the distance. I didn't want to give him a +1, but my husband begged since he was traveling and didn't know anyone else at the wedding, and he didn't want him to be uncomfortable or have to travel alone. Also, this person is like a very good friend.
Yeah.
I said fine, just to make him happy. Flash forward to the reception. I see him with some girl I have never seen before. I asked my husband what was up, and he told me that his friend and girlfriend broke up a few days before the wedding, and since he already RSVP'd with a +1, he brought his new girlfriend with him. I was pissed since I made an exception for him, and I didn't want anyone random at my wedding. That tells the story, doesn't it?
Does.
I had one of my bridesmaids go up to him and tell him he could stay, but his date had to leave and go to the hotel as this is a private event.
Oh my God.
I know, right? He said okay and didn't make a fuss, but he left with her and didn't come back. I thought everything was fine and had a great night. My husband found out about it the next day and we got in a huge argument. He's mad because his friend traveled and I kicked him out without talking to him. I didn't kick him out, just his date. He chose to leave.
No.
Now, it's a few weeks later and my husband still brings it up from time to time and his friend hasn't been answering his texts. I kind of feel bad here, but it was my wedding and I didn't want any strangers at my wedding.
No, it's
Am I the
it's
a-hole?
both of your weddings, actually.
Yeah,
And you don't get to
I
determine
think fully
the entire...
a-hole.
fully the a-hole.
Yeah.
I can understand if suddenly like there were 20 people there you didn't know and it made you uncomfortable. Like, why is it like you just some of your family members?
Yeah.
But the fact is like it was one single person.
If you give someone a +1 as well, it's not
Yes.
like you're saying like, oh, and we've invited your significant other. You've given this person the opportunity to bring someone with them.
Yes, and
it doesn't have to be a girlfriend. It could be anything.
Yeah, and also that place has already been paid for because you would have had to buy the food, all the stuff that happens in a wedding. Like, so that would have, that regardless of whether it was someone you knew or didn't know, like that place had already been paid for.
Yeah.
I can understand at your wedding you want to be surrounded by people that you know and love. It was one effing person.
Yeah.
Like you hardly had a group of people there that you didn't know.
But
it was
also,
one person.
Yeah. Also, the very idea that she was also like, I reluctantly gave my husband the ability, like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You are so self-obsessed.
I-
Like, your husband's, like, best friend of years and years, and you're like, well, like, wow, that's so disrespectful to your husband as a human.
And I think what is a big telling is the fact that she had writ this post on Am I the A-hole, not knowing. I don't understand how you can do that and think, oh, maybe I need the internet's opinion. Like, I think your husband needs to get away from you.
Yeah, that is a huge, it would be a huge red flag if I was with someone, they were like, you can't bring any of your friends to this.
No.
It's like, but this is our wedding. It's like, no, I should be able to invite as many people that I want there to be there as possible.
Exactly.
A meeting is about a celebration of your love or your devotion to each other. It's not about who's going to be sitting next to who.
Yes.
It's not like a birthday party or an office Christmas party.
Yes.
It's literally just like, yes, it's about you, but it's also like about displaying what a stable, wonderful relationship looks like to everyone else and how much love you have for each other. It's absolutely not a battle of, you can't bring your friends.
And it's like, I didn't kick him out, only her. But you think he's going to stay there.
He's
Be
like,
like,
bye.
oh yeah, bye Cheryl. Go to the hotel and sit
Yeah.
there while I'm like, no, what are you expecting him to do? I just don't think she wanted him there to begin with.
Yeah, I think
she
that.
did not want him there to begin with,
Absolutely.
clearly.
She tried to make it as difficult as possible, and that's why she used the word reluctantly. 'Cause
Yes.
obviously she was like, ugh. So yes, I do agree.
Because I
think
bet
that
there
they're
was
the
many
a-hole.
people that she invited that he was like, I don't like them.
Oh,
or don't
absolutely.
Want them. But did he make a fuss?
No, well,
maybe,
from
but what she said,
all
no.
of the information we have here paints her as the a-hole. in my
Yes, and
opinion.
again, I said this about another story before. She opted to give this information out herself,
Yes.
and she wants to make herself look as good as possible.
Yes.
So she could have added in many things. He moaned about this guest of mine, but she didn't say any of that, which implies that he probably didn't do it.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, she's very excited.
She's-
Ding,
yeah.
ding, ding, ding,
Hey,
ding,
ho,
fight!
Hey, die, round one, die. Sorry. Am I the a-hole for recommending the worst tattoo artist I know to a girl that was trying to copy my tattoo?
Oh. You might actually be the asshole, but it's also not a bad asshole.
Wow. Okay. I have a lot of tattoos. My most recent tattoo is a tattoo that I designed with my husband. We got matching ones for our anniversary and it was super personal. As I was showing it off to my friends, I noticed one girl in our group who I'm not super close to, was really into it. She even took a picture of it and I thought it was strange, but I let it slide. Let me call the girl Sarah.
Oh, God.
Sarah does not have any tattoos that I know of. No visible ones, at least. So a week or so later, I hear through the grapevine that Sarah is trying to get a copy of my tattoo. Honestly, I suspected this from the beginning. She told a couple of her friends of mine the design, and for some reason didn't think that any of them would tell me. But here comes the crazy part. She comes to me specifically and asks for recommendations of for an artist. So she specifically said she wanted one that wasn't too expensive. I asked her what she was going to get, and she was really coy with me and told me that she wasn't completely finished with designing it yet, so she couldn't show me. So I recommended the worst tattoo artist I know. Let's call him Bubs.
Sure.
Sure, why not?
Babs.
I've gotten 2 joke tattoos from Bubs. One is terrible and blown out, and the other one is okay, but just a really bad design. He worked at a Subway during the day, I guess, and gives tattoos from his garage. Oh my God.
Oh, he's a scratcher. Oh, no.
I knew she wouldn't do her proper research and check him out beforehand, so she didn't. She went to Bubs and got her cheap tattoo. It was totally effed up. It's already blown out, the lines aren't straight, and maybe infected. My husband and I were howling at this, but a few friends of mine mine think I took it too far. She'll be okay. She must just have a really shitty version of my tattoo. Am I an a-hole for doing this? And did she get what she deserved?
Oh, I do think you're an a-hole, but I don't actually think it's bad. I don't think it's bad to be an a-hole in this situation. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, it was kind of a bit shitty to be like, go off and see this bad tattoo, but they have stolen from you. So it's like, it's that case of like two wrongs don't necessarily make a right, but I also don't think.
So I can be quite, like if you F me over, I can be a little bit vindictive and a bit like revengeful. I don't feel like I've really done anything.
No,
that's
you just
kind
harbor
of,
a blackness.
I'll
in your
just
soul.
harbor it, yeah, whatever. If this person was stupid enough to do this to begin with and come to you and be like, even though you knew what was happening, and like, do you know, I'm not gonna, but then like do zero research as to who they're going to.
Yeah, that is bad.
That is like. They could have easily been like, oh no, I've heard about bubs or whatever. And been like, oh no, they're not very good.
That.
So the fact that they did zero research themselves as well, like I feel like in this, everyone kind of sucks in their own way.
Yes, I agree with that.
The consensus of this was everyone sucks, and I actually agree with that statement.
Yeah.
Yes, in a way, what you did was a bit underhanded, but I also
it's a bit mean.
Yes, but I also feel like I also understand why you did it.
So to people who don't maybe know or don't have tattoos, like tattoo theft is actually like really taboo in the community.
It's awful. Like it's something you do not do.
If you've had something like personally designed for you by a tattoo artist, and then someone else sees that online and goes, "I'm having that, girl, put that on me." That is like. That's very seen as like, oh, you've done a naughty.
It's not.
People are a bit like
very frowned upon.
Frowned upon is the word. There isn't really like, it's one of those unwritten rules of like, don't copy other people's work. It's not good.
But also, like, if someone came up to me and said, I got this tattoo with my husband and it's really personal to us and we made this about us and like this is about our relationship, why would you then want that on you?
Anyway.
Like, that's weird.
And the thing is, when it comes to something like this, you can always take inspiration, but make sure it's not plagiarism.
Yes.
So, like, yeah, sure, you have one design that you've seen and it's about someone's relationship and you really like that. Combine it with 4 or 5 other designs. So then it's nothing like the original design, but still has aspects of what you enjoy.
Yeah.
Which I feel is like basic artistry, full stop.
Like there are so many different types of art style that you could have. Whether even if you go for the more like sort of normal, like sort of like traditional style of tattoo, that's one style of tattoo. Then you've got like geometrics, or you can have like
line work,
line work, or incorporated black work, or like
watercolor.
Like there are so many different styles of tattoo that you could have been like, oh, I really like this, so I'm going to show this design to my tattoo artist, and I want her to just like change it all, make it into like bubblegum writing or something. Like you could do anything.
Well, the thing is that when you go to someone like Bubs, I'm hardly doubting they'll be able to be like, my style.
But this is also what I mean by like if this person did zero research, like that is also on them.
You get what you pay for.
Like you get what you pay for, especially body modification. Like there's no such thing as cheap modification. Like there isn't.
There isn't.
I feel like with piercings, sometimes there's like some students that might be charged more because they're in London. London students. But when it comes to like tattoo work, money speaks volumes.
It does. It really does.
And if you're in anywhere in the world, if they're like, it's £20 an hour, like that's not good.
Like that's the group of men that go to like, iron up for a weekend and they all come back with scorpions. It's like, oh, sis, don't do that.
It's not, With tattoos, money speaks.
Money speaks,
and
absolutely.
If you go for like cheap, you're gonna get
your
shit
work looks cheap.
And the thing is as well, actually, a lot of time with like cheap artists and stuff, they might be able to hide it and be like, well, actually, at the very beginning, it looks very good right now, but like
maybe the technique isn't up to scratch,
and they'll age really badly.
Yeah, because they've done it quick.
Blowouts can happen very easily, and ink can like bleed, and like for that one moment in this tattoo studio, it might look really good because it's completely fresh and everything's just been placed. But over time, that also can age really badly. So again, please do your research if you're going to get any kind of modification and pay money for it.
Expect things like tattoos and modification to cost money.
Yeah, and like,
it does.
If you're someone who can't afford it, then you just can't get it. And this idea of like, oh, but I can't afford them, but you also don't need modifications.
Yeah.
Like this isn't a life like me getting tattooed in my arm isn't because I'm dying.
When people say things like, oh, it's too expensive, it's like, actually assess, hang on for a second. Is it too expensive or is it just not for you right now?
Yes, like it's not too expensive, it's just worth that.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Right, let's have a birthday one, shall we?
Let's have a birthday.
Let's have a birthday. Am I the a-hole for returning my daughter's birthday cake after I discovered that my wife made changes to it?
Dear.
Oh.
She put a swastika in the middle.
Oh my God. I am male and 37. I have a daughter who's just turning 13. Olivia from my former relationship.
Oh, so instantly,
Here
yeah.
we go. Currently, I'm married to my wife who has another daughter, 16, we're going to call Brittany.
Brittany.
Brittany girls, you better work, bitch!
You-
So, Brittany is the opposite of Olivia. For example, Brittany is a social kid and Olivia is an introvert. The list is long, but they're just the complete opposite. Olivia's 13th birthday was 2 days ago. She loves chocolate, and I decided this is the flavour that I really wanted to go with when I contacted the bakery.
Okay.
However, my wife objected since Brittany absolutely hates chocolate and suggested we go with vanilla.
For God's sake.
Right. I said no way because, for one, Olivia hates vanilla and it's also her birthday. She gets to have her cake with her favourite flavour. My wife got so upset and took it as I had no regard for Brittany and that we should just choose another neutral flavour instead. I shut that down instantly and said no more discussing as I've already decided to go with what Olivia wants. At the day of the birthday, I was supposed to come home. I was supposed to go and get the cake, but I was surprised to see my wife coming home after picking up the cake from the bakery.
Oh my God.
I looked at it and discovered that it wasn't chocolate at all, but a vanilla cake with small pieces of chocolate on top. I got so pissed thinking that they got my order wrong and was about to go and contact them, but my wife said there was no mistake and that she had called the bakery the day before to make slight changes to please both girls. I was stunned and I lost it on her and asked why the hell she did that. She got defensive that birthdays are no longer an excuse to show favoritism and that her daughter is watching and observing how I'm treating both girls. I'd hold her off since I was the one paying and then called the bakery and explained what had happened. I had the cake returned and replaced with a chocolate cake. My wife declined to take part in the celebration and later we got into a huge argument where she called me controlling and selfish for returning the cake instead of using this opportunity to teach Olivia to compromise so that everyone is happy.
Leave her, divorce her right now.
Absolutely,
Leave her.
leave. Now I'm teaching her to be selfish, apparently. I said that my daughter gets to act selfish on her birthday and that she, my wife, was teaching her daughter to be entitled. Word for word, it led to an even bigger argument and we're not talking as of now. Am I the a-hole for returning the cake and not taking my wife's input?
That divorce her.
Divorce
that woman. The thing is, the idea could be like you can be selfish on your birthday. It's not being selfish.
It's not.
It's your birthday.
It's your birthday,
like,
absolutely.
To want what you want on your own birthday. If anyone calls you selfish for that, then they're absolutely a horrible person.
Yeah.
This is 100%. She didn't want a chocolate cake. It wasn't anything to do with the kid. It was because she didn't want a chocolate cake. She was no. I want vanilla.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say it was my child who doesn't like chocolate.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely gives me that sort of like Karen vibe, doesn't it? That very okay boomer sort of nonsense. I will say the very fact that the wife's daughter is 16 should really be taught that, like, you don't get to decide everything that goes on around you. Like, that is a terrible example to teach a 16-year-old that compromises everybody else's problem and not yours.
Exactly.
That's a really bad, like, you're not raising, this is the thing that goes back to entitled parents. You're not actually raising kids. You're trying to raise functional adults that can adjust in society and adapt to situations that are needed.
Amen.
By giving them everything that they want forever is a terrible idea because it actually makes them incapable of functioning in the human world because not everything is going to go your way and you have to learn that sometimes chocolate cake is going to be given to you instead of vanilla cake. Get a grip.
It sounds like to me as well this mother doesn't like the child.
Yeah,
like
that's
it's very
what
much
it
like
sounds
you're not
like.
my child, so I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
It's how about you compromise for her on her birthday?
That's
Why is the
You set the
birthday having to
example.
compromise on her birthday? The birthday. Like why is that? Why are they having to compromise on their birthday? Also, the fact that she clearly does not respect her husband.
Well, that's it, isn't it?
Oh yes, I just rung them up. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Does he pay for it? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's very that wedding person that was just like, no extra person here at the wedding. It's that kind of like dismissive nonsense. That's actually usually like a huge problem in relationships.
Yeah.
If someone is being dismissive of you, there's an issue there. Like, don't accept that.
Absolutely. And again, you said about the 16-year-old. As a 16-year-old, I knew full well that on someone else's birthday, I don't get to dictate what kind of things we do or
16,
eat. Like
16 is like, you've got like a brain at that. Like,
it
quite
makes
an
me
adult
think
brain.
of those children who are like literally like what 6 or 7 trying to blow out candles on cakes that they don't have.
Yeah.
Like that's what you grow out of that.
You kind of sort of expect having to be a bit like, we need to give someone else something because otherwise there's just going to be tears all day long.
But when you're 16, this is why I feel like either maybe this actually did happen and the child really does feel like this, but I feel like this is more the mother just didn't want the chocolate cake.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that. I mean, I can understand as well that, like, marriages and children never don't often go to plan, and trying to integrate two separate families together can be difficult. You're going to hit roadblocks and stuff. People are going to be difficult in that situation.
Yep.
Kids will quite often also just purposefully be difficult because they suddenly have to adjust to a new living dynamic.
Yeah.
I can understand that, but the point is, you as parents still have to try and set good examples.
Yes.
And by showing the older child that no compromise is necessary is just, you're going to have way more problems in the future if you keep that.
It makes you wonder what the mum is saying to the 16-year-old
Yeah, well, that's it,
girl.
isn't it? That's it.
Oh, don't listen to little Siobhan. We don't give a shit about her.
Yeah,
We're going to do what
Siobhan,
you want today.
We're going to kick her out at 18,
Yeah,
Siobhan.
yeah.
This day, her birthday's all about you.
Yeah, 13.
It's
18 is the new 12.
Yes.
Get out.
Get out, girls. It's very Cinderella, ugly stepsisters, and the
yes, no,
horrible,
it does, yeah.
What is it, stepmum or whatever?
Stepmum.
It's very, very
Yeah.
that, isn't it?
Oh.
So the consensus, what even was the consensus?
That
I
all
don't
of them
even
needs
know.
the guillotine.
The guillotine, girls. This one is called, Am I the A-hole for walking out on my job?
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, you should sit down and be subservient to every boss.
Everybody. I, 29 female, work as a waitress at a restaurant with a point system. It's 1 point if you are late, 3 points to call off without notice. 3 points to call off with notice, and 5 points for calling off within 4 hours of your shift. This sounds very toxic already.
It sounds a bit
place
like
to work.
Yeah.
This is fine with me, as I have had no points this year and have only called off once since 2018. I'm the type of person who covers shifts, stays late, and just generally goes about my job. Last week, I ended up calling off and was out for about a week due to being hospitalized in the ICU with a horrible infection.
Oh, no.
Exactly, right? I let my boss know at 2 a.m. that I was being sent out by helicopter and kept her informed of everything going on. Okay, so this is like serious.
Helicopter!
This is actually a very serious infection. This is going to hospital. Can we not make memes?
No. We are the arsehole.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Today was my first day back, and I'm not 100% better yet, but like many places, we are short-staffed. When I came in today, I opened and got into work. My boss came in 2 hours later and called me into her office. She informed me that I was getting 8 points, losing my discounts and bonuses for 90 days, and was on probation for being fired. I was dumbfounded and told her I wasn't signing the papers as it was out of my control. Wait, so you have to sign papers to get points? That is illegal.
Ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Look, the fact that they're like, no, we need you to sign off to make sure that you're agreeing to it. That has to be some kind of dodgy shit going on there.
Court, sis.
Yeah.
I don't know why my eye has decided to join the party.
Oh, hello.
Weeping for my husband lost
in the Bosnian War.
She said if I didn't sign, I would be terminated. I told her not to bother and walked out. I'm now getting calls and texts from her and my co-workers saying they really need me. And I was an ass for quitting over something so small. My husband thinks I was in the right because it's ridiculous that I was getting punished for almost dying. Am I the a-hole? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It is not an emergency for other people does not a mistake for other people does not constitute an emergency for you. The reality is, in this situation, you should always just tell your manager, I have to have time off work. It's a manager's point to manage the business.
I would take them to court.
Absolutely.
But how dare they treat you like that? Bitch. I can't believe they can. It reminds me a little bit of that entitled mum story when the woman had surgery and she was like, well, why don't you fire her and get someone else who can do it? It's that same kind of this manager is clearly doesn't give a flying F about you in any way, shape or form. You nearly died and they're like, you're going to get fired if you don't come in. They nearly died.
Taken by a helicopter. My first thing at 2 a.m. would not be, I need to text my boss. I just wouldn't have showed up and then been like, sorry, actually, I'm in hospital right now. Or get the hospital to phone them and say, she's obviously not in. She's in the ICU.
This is that. It's totally, I can't even imagine what it must be like working in that place.
Yeah.
The stuff that they must have to deal with.
It's inhumane, isn't it? It feels inhumane. So I agree, you are not the a-hole in this situation.
No, absolutely not.
No. And never sign anything that's I agree to be punished.
Yeah,
what?
Never.
Never.
That system does not feel legal.
Take those papers and then take them to court with you.
Yes. So this one is called, Am I the Arsehole for Murdering My Wife? No, I'm joking.
Oh. I was like, well...
Am I the a-hole for asking my friend to move a picture of him and his wife because it made my wife uncomfortable?
Oh, okay, right. What are they doing in the picture?
Me, a 32-year-old male, and my wife Dahlia, who's 28, female, lost our apartment 2 months ago and moved in with my mum temporarily. Issues began to arise between Dahlia and my mum, and I had to ask my friend Anthony, who's 31, to let us move in until I can get enough money to rent out my own place. His wife was away visiting family and he agreed because they had the extra space. But even there, some issues started to arise. For example, my wife freaked out when she accidentally drank from his glass. Also, she once made a fuss. He passed by the guest room when she was laying down on the bed, but the door was open. Thankfully, Anthony was super understanding and we were able to talk through some of these issues and sort them out. First of all, like, what? What? This woman sounds like... What?
A bit insufferable.
Like, why? You're in someone else's house, you're getting pissed off because they walked past your room. Like...
Yeah, I'm not getting good vibes from this one.
Weird. Last night, Dahlia was passing the...
Passing wind.
Last night, Dahlia passed away. Last night, Dahlia was passing the hall and noticed a framed picture of Anthony and his wife kissing hanging on the wall. She told me about it and said that it made her uncomfortable.
Oh.
She asked if I could speak to Anthony about moving it, and he didn't take it very well. He gave me a look up and down and spoke to me like I was absolutely bonkers because, first of all, his wife put that there, and second of all, it's not an explicit image. It's just them kissing on their wedding day.
Thirdly, it's their
Oh,
bloody
my
house.
God. Oh my God.
All right.
We started arguing and he said that it wasn't like it was hanging in the living room wall. It's just in the hallway. I asked him to be a little more considerate because it's not like I asked him to remove it completely. Just move it somewhere else that Dahlia wouldn't be able to see it. He said he was sorry, but still refused. I explained how Dahlia was feeling, but he said again he was sorry, but he would not be moving the photo. We argued for some more, and he said that it's his house and that I'm being too pushy with this kind of stuff, and it does not make me comfortable. This morning, Dahlia refused to even come out of the room until the picture was moved. Anthony is refusing, which makes it worse. Now I feel like I'm getting stuck between a rock and a hard place. Yes, she might be overreacting, but I feel this isn't a good way to act when guests are in your house. That is,
Guests in your house means you still have authority.
Oh.
That is.
But also, you're not guests in a normal way in his house.
No.
You needed somewhere to live because you were homeless. So he
Yeah.
was like, "Well, just come and stay here while you got."
Yes.
Like, he wasn't like, "Come visit me for a month."
Yeah,
like, you're not a
come
guest.
have some dinner at my house,
Like,
girls.
he's not like a host for you.
Stories like this, when we come across them on Am I the A-hole, that sometimes I'm like, is this fake? Like, because it's like, how could anyone in
It
this
seems-
situation not be like, you are deranged,
I also-
get out of my house?
I also feel like his wife seems to be incredibly controlling, and it
Oh,
feels like
he's a doormat to
It
her.
feels like she is intentionally driving wedges between people.
Absolutely.
Because
It happened to the
before it
parents.
started, had that fact that they moved in with the parents, and then there was problems between Dahlia and the mother. Like, so clearly this woman has a power issue, and she wants you to be isolated from your family so she can have you to herself.
Worst case scenario, she is in an abusive position and
Yes.
wants to isolate and really like strain your close relationships and close friends. Yeah, you're the arsehole, but also like get a spine.
I feel like there's a slight bit of like you might be a victim of kind of like slight sort of like manipulative abuse there.
Yeah, in the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
But in the best case scenario, your girlfriend might just be like, oh, is it wife?
Wife
might just be like kind of a horrible person.
Yeah.
And you're just being a bit like, oh, it's all about my baby.
And
It's like,
the thing is as well is it's a bit like you don't know, this guy could be a bit lonely and won't divorce her because he doesn't want to be alone. And there's lots of different things that play into this.
I don't like that. I don't like these people.
Horrible little ice crumbly.
Horrible entitled. That's very entitled parents.
It is. Am I the a-hole for getting mad at my artist that hid their initials in my tattoo?
Ooh.
Wow. Okay.
Yes, I would immediately say, kind of thing.
This is a short one. Name change for privacy.
Okay.
I went to a tattoo shop in my area with a photo of a tattoo I wanted. It was one of my dad's that he had gotten in honor of my grandfather who passed away. Since my father had gone, I also wanted the same tattoo put in with me with an add-on with my dad, which is fair enough.
Yeah, that's
what we want.
absolutely fine.
Okay. I get to the shop, I explain everything, I pay and get the tattoo, and we're done. I think it looks awesome. Everything is great until a few weeks later, I was showing my great-grandmother the tattoo. She is static, grabs my arm to look at all the different places, complimenting it, and then asks, "Who is AJ?" Me with confusing, I ask her, what the hell does she mean? She points out that in the tattoo there is initial A and J, or maybe it's a T, were hidden in the tattoo. I'm instantly pissed as my artist's name is Alice Trevor. She tries to assure me that it's no big deal ideal if I hadn't noticed it until now, but I reached out to the artist anyway with irritation. They told me that's the style of art I got called traditional, and it's pretty rad for people and artists to put their initials in the tattoos, and it's very common. Is that? I've never heard of that ever.
Oh, but they do. You're meant to state that first.
Is that? I've never heard of that.
I've
though.
heard
Have
of
you?
it, but I've not in a case where someone is almost in a way of being like, I'm glad to show this piece off because it's by this tattoo artist.
Yeah.
Not just like my local shop area just decided to be like, Trevor.
Yeah. I demanded a partial refund, but she refused. So I complained to the owner of the store, and the artist was made to give me a full refund.
Oh, amazing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now the artist is running a full smear campaign,
course.
talking about moving shops and all kinds of crap about me. My sister says I'm the a-hole for pushing the issue. At the end of the day, I told the person exactly what I wanted, and they added in things I didn't want. Am I the a-hole?
No, you're not, actually. When I first heard the first sentence, I was a bit like, oh, potentially. But no, I don't think you are.
You can't change. I personally have never heard of an artist like tagging the tattoo and being like, this is mine, because a lot of the time, if you've got a unique style, it kind of speaks for itself.
Yes, very true.
But I feel like if you were to look at my leg and you knew who Vulcan was, I think you would know that's a Vulcan tattoo, because it's very, the way he layers and is cut like is very him. Same with my arm. Unless you like, I feel like you should have been told.
Yeah, I
like
100% agree with that. And the reason I think here, maybe the tattoo artist thought they could get away with it. If they used a stencil, for example, and they put it on and it was just like, when you first look at like the stencil, you're quite euphoric. You're quite like, oh, you're buzzing for it. You're about to get tattooed. That is all very exciting.
Yep.
You may not have noticed a tiny little like lettering or something and been like, and then when it's finished and you're like, oh, that's actually not meant to be
because
there.
also if
Dishonesty.
if your tattoo is detailed or something, when the stencil goes on, it's actually kind of hard sometimes to even see what the stencil is, because you've got all the weird little all the blue lines all around and stuff. Like when I first got my Ermac done on my leg and he put the stencil on to begin with, I couldn't really tell what it was going to be, because all the different like detail lines that he was going to fill in with all the different shadings, just in one flat blue color, it looked a bit odd. So I don't know if I would have noticed if he put like a VK or something, or like you know, his initials or just something in that. I would have had no idea.
A little tiny donut.
A
from Krispy
donut.
Kreme.
Yeah, the tattooist should have told you to begin with.
Absolutely, because realistically, you're having a permanent alteration to your body.
Yeah, and also to be like, oh, it's pretty rad to have that. Like, don't tell.
Imagine if a cosmetic surgeon was just like, I'm just going to scarify that I've done this work. Like, no, but I won't tell you.
No.
I'm going to hide it in the nose
I
cavity.
actually stitched in a little label here
Yeah,
that you
be
can see.
like,
Yeah,
made
do
by
not
woman.
iron.
Yeah, exactly. Wash at 40 degrees.
No, I do not think you're the arsehole. And I
Yeah.
find it very strange that your girlfriend is saying that you're...
No, it's sister.
That's so funny with your sister
Yeah, I'm
saying
like,
that you're
you're
the arsehole.
wrong, sis.
Like, what?
No, yeah.
Don't
well
tag
within
someone
your
without
rights.
telling them.
And also the way that we know that the person in this story is not an asshole is because the
owner.
the
The
owner
owner shop.
agreed and was
Yeah.
like, actually, no, you need a full refund because you've been given something you didn't actually want. So the fact that she's responded by going like, I can't believe it's done, I'm going to move shops, girl,
yes.
is so like, well, you shouldn't be unprofessional in your job then.
1 million...
Am I the a-hole for being honest about why I left a job, causing the new hire not to take it?
Okay. Is this my story about the station?
Yeah, it is. Yes,
Jesus.
yes. I'm working for a very well-known station in London. I'm also a YouTuber. You were spooked then, weren't
They're
you?
not very well known.
No.
Lol.
I'm a student in a university, and my first year I worked in a lab. It was not a good experience. One of my co-workers would constantly text me outside of work and demand I answer her immediately. The bosses did nothing about this, but yelled at me if I texted her outside of work hours.
Okay.
Sure. Right, see. I was scheduled to work too many hours and pressured into skipping classes to go to work. They gave me little to no flexibility for my exams, and I was often running from exam to work because they wouldn't give me any time off.
Can I just say one thing?
Leave.
Don't hire someone knowingly that they're in university and going
And then
through
be
all
like,
this,
"No,
and then be like, no, you
no."
can't. Like, why are you hiring someone if like, you know?
Cheap.
I don't think she would have gone to this job interview and been like, not told them any of this and been
Yeah.
like, I'm free all the time.
What
and then
they
all
want
of a
is
sudden,
they want someone with 10 years experience but want to pay them student wages.
Yes, yeah.
That's what they want, which is unhinged. I was being bombarded and harassed by the job so much that it felt like I was a student on the side and a full-time employee.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. When the reverse was true. This was an on-campus job, so my employers definitely knew I was a student.
no, see that no
Death. Eventually, I was fed up and just handed in my resignation and didn't show up again. I was sick and tired of being ran ragged for a job and got a new one. I put that I'd worked this job on LinkedIn, and a girl contacted me saying she'd been offered the job there and wanted to know what my experience was. I told her everything above, and she ended up not taking it and going to a different lab. She ended up telling my old employers that I told her my experiences. Oh, that's a little bit snaky.
Weird. That's weird.
And they are blowing up my email and phone, calling me unprofessional and an asshole because she would have been a good addition to the lab. Am I the asshole for telling her my experiences, which caused her to not take the job?
No. That is the company being like, don't tell them what we're really like. No.
Don't talk about wages. It's like secret sneaky.
This is like
abuse.
This is literally. I mean, obviously not. I wasn't being told to come in different days, or whatever, because I was a full time. But that's literally my experience with when I left Morrison's. I did the social media job for a few months. That was literally what they did. And many people I've spoken to about since the place afterwards, who I known had gone to work in there or done like stuff with them. I've always been like, you should probably stay away.
Yeah.
Like, this place is not a good environment to be in.
But it does strike me as weird that the other candidate went behind this one's back to be like, oh, so your former employee, whose name is blah, 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 told me about this experiences. That's what I feel kind of weird. So I don't know if a lot of people know this, but when you're asking for a reference when you're getting a job, a company that you've previously worked for can't give you a bad one. They can only refuse to give you one, which is, it should be like speech enough to be like, there was an issue and we don't really want to like talk about it. But the idea that they went behind their back to then be like, well, they told me that it was like this. And then it kind of feels like doxing in a way.
It almost in a way feels like it was a ploy. Like they did it on purpose to see what they were saying.
Yeah, it feels a bit like a trap or something.
Yes.
Didn't even think about that. So no, I don't think you were the a-hole. I think that is corporate a-holism. And the fact that the job is also on campus, so they know you're a student, but also demanding that you be a full-time employee whilst working...
Well, I mean, we can both really relate to this to a certain aspect because we talk to each other about brand deals.
Yes.
And when a brand that we've worked with has been awful or like really unprofessional, we will tell our friends and be like, you probably maybe don't if they message you, just don't, because it was an absolute stress to work with them. Most of the time as well, it's always like in between management people who message you. It's never like the brand themselves. It's always like in between people. Like
it's like an agency.
Yeah, so if this agency tries to work with you, just say no, and like as you sometimes do, contact the business themselves.
Contact the business directly, because you'll get a better rate, and also you'll be able to actually create a meaningful relationship with this company, corporation, or small independent, whatever, that will last a long time, rather than just like someone who's come into an agency, seen what your numbers are, and goes, we're going to offer you this, and then just completely crap all over that document that they've made you sign.
100%. So in this story, how about you don't treat people like shit rather than getting angry with them because they've told people that you've treated them like shit?
Yeah, I completely agree.
I can't believe that they were on a campus. They were
on campus.
It's not like
right?
they were like hours away or something.
Yeah,
like,
it's not
weird.
Like not like they had nothing to do with the university whatsoever. The employers.
I would complain to the university and be like, this company
this
that works here is awful.
Corporate bullying.
Me. Like what?
Death.
Am I the a-hole for Am I the a-hole for calling my fiance delusional and not letting him punish my son?
All right, here we go. Delusion, girls.
My fiance, 40 male, and I'm a 36 female.
Oh,
she's not shouting.
She's very aggressive.
I wanted to put the voice. We've been together for almost 2 years, and I have 3 kids from a former marriage: 7, 11, and 14.
She has 3 kids. From a former marriage.
So she's the mother. She's got the kids, and she's married to the man.
Yeah.
My fiance loves them and treats them as his own, but he constantly complains about certain behaviors and said that they lack some form of discipline. I never understood what he meant, but mind you, he's a teacher and can take this whole role of discipline thing a bit too far. I've noticed many times that he's doing these tests, in quotation marks, lately to see how they'd act in certain situations, which seems weird. For example, he once left out his journal lying around to see if any of the kids would be snooping on what he's writing. He also would leave money laying around to see who would touch it, or even if anyone would be lying, saying, "Who wants Skittles?" to see who would come down the stairs to see him. What? Is that maybe like taking candy from a straight? Like what? What's the... Okay. So you're basically testing your children.
This guy's a weirdo.
The recent one that I wasn't aware of until much later was yesterday. He told the kids that he lost $1 from his wallet and offered the kids $10 to whoever would find it first. Okay. The kids began searching the house frantically for over an hour. My 7 and 11-year-olds couldn't find a thing, but my 14-year-old went to my fiance with a dollar and said, I found it, I found it. The fiance then got angry and started yelling, I got you now. My son was confused. Turns out my fiance didn't lose any money at all and lied about the dollar to see how the kids would react. My son obviously had failed because he pretended to find one of the dollars, but in reality, he took it from his own allowance and gave it to my fiance, hoping he would then get $10.
Yeah, because he's like got a brain.
Like, my fiance said that because of my son's dishonesty and greed, he'll punish him by taking all of his allowance for the month, as well as all of his electronics being taken for a week. I got into an argument with him, calling him delusional because delusional to be playing these kind of mind games with children.
This guy sounds like he's moved you in and like all your kids just to have like power trips all day long, every day.
Like weird. He still talks about it. About principles, and said that he was trying to teach my son a lesson for not lying. But I thought that this had gone too far. I refused to let him punish him, now calling him an enabler, and said that this attitude won't help the relationship. The last bit of the story is actually not really relevant. She's basically saying, am I the asshole for not letting him punish his child? But yeah, you're not. The only way you're an asshole is if you stay with this man.
Yeah, this is really, there's like huge red flags here that I'm seeing that I'm like, no, this really isn't a very acceptable place to be.
But what I find funny is this man's trying to tell the children not to be dishonest and lying by being dishonest and lying.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what I mean. That's the red flag. It's like it's almost as if he's like, right, nothing interesting is going on today, so today I'm going to tell these children a lie and watch them panic for an hour.
What?
And then see who comes back to me. He hasn't set up this situation to actually teach them about honesty and dishonesty. He's set them up so he can go, ha! I got you!
He's manipulating them in order to get the reaction
to feel
he
powerful.
wants. Yes, it's such a weird...
To lord himself over his, children.
Yeah,
which... aren't biologically his, apparently.
I purposely leave money around to see if they steal it. What are you doing?
What are you doing? Why are you doing that? I leave my journal around to see who'll snoop.
Why do you need to... I don't sound exactly. If kids are going to steal money from your house, they're going to steal off you regardless of whether you leave it around or not.
This sounds so like Mr. Scrooge. He's 40 and she's 36.
Yeah,
but he sounds like he's like 87. It's like, what are you doing? You're 40 years old. Concentrate on your work, please, sir.
Yeah, I don't understand why this is it's completely not needed in any way, shape, or form.
From the information we have from this story, this is indicative of bigger, deeper, redder flags that you need to address because that. If someone like this was in my life, trying to lord some power over me and my children, I'd be like, and then having an argument with me about it, I'd be like, I don't know, sis. If you can't see what you're doing is wrong, then you clearly do not want to change, and you clearly enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah, this is not a relationship.
Huge red flags.
Don't let your kids be around this person.
Pluck that red flag out of the ground and beat him to death with it.
Yes, exactly. The red flag.
Needle in the eyeball, girl.
What's going to happen when they get older? And what's he then going to do? I'm going to break your leg to see how you cry. What?
Yeah, it's very that. Yeah, I'll give you something to cry about.
Yeah,
I don't actually just listen to the problem that your child has.
Yes, if a kid is going to steal from you, it doesn't matter whether you leave the money lying around or not. They're going to steal from you.
Yes.
So
which will be indicative of a problem that's a bit deeper than just, aha, I caught you. Now I'm going to beat you and take your things. Actually, no, you need to instill a different behavioral pattern, which is going to take longer than just well, you don't get any money for a month and your electronics are taken away.
Yes.
Actually, that's a pattern of behavior that needs to be pretty much curved quite quickly.
Yeah, to me, I just don't
that's not
understand,
parenting.
Any kind of attitude or behavioral issue that happens, can just be resolved by talking to the child to begin with or seeing how they act in normal day lives. Testing children to see if they'll snoop. It just seems bizarre. Why would you do that?
Yeah, why? But also, children are curious. There's a 7-year-old in this equation. 7-year-olds are curious.
Yes.
They're not always thieves or whatever, but they might be like, I really like that journal, so I'm taking it and I'm going to have a pick. It could just be because it's different and it's a little bit, exciting and curious. Doesn't mean they're a terrible child and must be punished, girls.
Yeah, weird.
It's weird.
Just
that
tell
man
the
is
child
on a power
that
trip.
you could just tell the child, oh, this is someone else's journal, so just...
put it there, leave it there, or put it somewhere where they think they'll find it.
Yeah, the idea that you're, you're testing young
if
children.
I leave, it's very Acme Villain from Looney Tunes.
Yes,
but also actually quite wrong at the same time. Unhinged.
Am I the arsehole for having a dump in my father's mouth? It was at his funeral. I didn't like it much.
Am I the a-hole for quitting my job over $20? Honestly, I'm quitting this stupid effing job tomorrow.
Ooh.
I went to work today and I'm a waitress and I was serving a table and they were really rude to me. I didn't say anything mean back or anything. I just kept being nice to them regardless, which I feel like waitresses and waiters will very
Very
understand
relatable,
that,
yeah.
When I bought their food, they asked me to come back and they ripped up their food with their bare hands and told me how vile the food was and that they weren't going to pay for the dish. Oh, can you imagine? I talked to my manager and she said, it's fine, just to knock it off the bill. At the end of their dinner, they came up to me and they say, I don't know what to support this restaurant. Do you get to keep the tips on card? And I said, no. And he said, do you get to keep the tips in cash? And I said, not usually. He paid with a card and then handed me $20 and told me to break it into 2 10s, which I did. While I was handing them back, he said, this is a tip for you and not the business. I don't want to support the business, but I do like you as a waitress and said to keep the $10.
Okay.
This is getting stranger and
This
stranger.
is getting, yeah.
I set the $10 aside and finished the transaction, and then once he was done, I pocketed that tip. My boss texted me after work and said, you stole money from me, and I was missing cash from the register, so I watched the whole security camera back, and you stole money, and I will be deducting you $20. Don't do it again. It was a tip, which means it's impossible for the wrong amount.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, because it's a tip. It doesn't
Yeah.
actually even go through the
Till.
the till.
Yeah.
I told her what happened and she sent me a video of me breaking down the 20 and pocketing a 10. And I said, yep, looks like I broke the 20 down and just kept 10. Like I just said I did because it was a tip. I told her I'm not coming back in tomorrow other than to pick up my last paycheck and she can find some other poor 16-year-old who wants to work weekend nights alone. My employer told me that usually they don't let you keep tips and I've never received a tip on a card. Am I the a-hole for taking the tip?
So, no, first of all, I don't think you're the a-hole. But
No.
I will say that if it's stated to you from the beginning that when you get tips, you have to split them, and then you're seen not doing that.
That is
you-
potentially an issue.
Yeah, like, you are going against the rules. I do think she's overreacting.
Yeah.
But
I actually don't know the like law around tipping.
Yeah,
I feel
I'm
like
not
it does
sure.
have quite strong laws, especially as this is in dollars and in America. I'm assuming that there's like
well, the tipping in America is
it's
so
different.
much. Yeah, like,
it's
you don't-
completely different.
Yeah, tipping in the UK, like sometimes a service charge is added, but most of the time, like people don't tend to tip.
Yeah, people don't really tip.
because I'm not sure what the wages are different, but I'm pretty sure in America they don't give them like normal kind of like living
because
wages.
They
I think it's
expect
more
to have tips.
Yes,
which also seems like really naughty and illegal somehow.
That's a very abusive kind of like system. I don't like that at all.
Yeah, like, oh, you can work for us. We're not going to pay you enough amount, but if you're nice to people, they might donate you extra money.
Yeah,
It's a bit like, "Oh, no,
I
what?"
think personally, like if my own opinion of this is like if someone tips you, you should get the money and shouldn't have
Yes.
to because like
That's how it would work in the UK.
Yeah, say there was 2 people on shift and one side of the restaurant was way more busy than the other side because that was just how they sat them down in that one time or something. And one person worked way harder than the other. To the idea that you would then have to give all of your tips to the other person as well, to me, just doesn't seem fair.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point of a tip jar, isn't it? So
Yes.
in like a bar or something, there's a tip jar, and usually then they will divide that between the people working there. Whereas when you actively physically give a tip to someone in specific, that's usually like, you've done a good job, you
Yes.
deserve this extra money.
Yeah.
I think the issue is because it was a $20 and she put it through the till to change it into 2 10s. I
Yes.
reckon that's probably where the issue has come from. But if there's video footage of her taking 20 from someone, putting it in and changing the changeover and then keeping... That means that although they're trying to say it as like, it's gone through the till.
You've stolen the money.
It actually hasn't gone through
No,
the till
and
because
no.
the same amount of money has come out again.
Yes.
So that's bad management, I think.
Well, even when I worked at Morrison's, I had a customer once give me a bottle of champagne when
yeah.
when they were leaving the area because they said that I did a wonderful job. Was I supposed to then take the champagne upstairs
Give
and
it to
share it with
everyone.
everyone?
Yeah.
Like
You stole the champagne from
I
Morrison's,
stole,
actually, in this case.
And I was like, well, no, because he gave that to me because I worked well with him and he was like my service was
Imagine
good.
changing the word tip here for gift. Like,
Yes.
that man gifted you $10. That
Yes.
is nothing to do with the business at all.
Yeah, can you imagine? This is what the servers need to do in future. Be like, "There's my Venmo." Just maybe get something, and then
just sort of like gently
Yeah,
wave
but
it
like,
by being
my
like, I
pay-
have a
yeah.
Venmo and a PayPal.
Yeah, this
Cash
is-
App possible.
So I
OnlyFans?
Exactly. I feel like sometimes because we're in the UK and America has a very different system.
Yeah, I don't understand the
It's
tipping
sometimes
system.
difficult to us to fully understand the system. So maybe what we've just said is actually wrong. I don't know, but I
Yeah.
think because of our system is very different here
Yeah.
than America, it's difficult,
difficult to say.
Yes.
So this one is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter I already knew that she is a lesbian?
Oh God, here we go.
Here we go.
We love an outing.
I'm 46 and female. My daughter is 16 and female. Her 16th birthday was yesterday. Every birthday, I bake her a cake.
Ooh.
I've done it since her first birthday. I was baking in the afternoon when she got in the kitchen saying, Mum, I need to tell you
What? Yeah.
Mummy.
Okay, yeah.
I stopped what I was doing to pay attention to her and asked, what's wrong? She said, Mum, I have to be honest with you. She spoke a little speech here about how much she loves me and how she can't keep this a secret anymore. Oh, I know, right? So that I can finally tell you I like girls and I'm a lesbian. I immediately responded with, I know, way to steal thunder, isn't it? I know, right? You're like, oh, it's a big moment. She was shocked and shouted, you knew? How? I said, honey, you have gay written all over your face. Honestly, I wasn't even expecting you to come out, just to come home one day and introduce your girlfriend to us. She started crying a little bit, and then I continued talking and retelling some key moments that gave away that she likes girls.
Oh.
Like the moment in first grade when she referred to her best friend as her bride.
Oh.
That's quite sweet, I suppose.
My bride!
Yeah.
The bride of Chucky!
Yeah. Oh, this would be a very different show.
Yeah,
This
she
lesbian
would be,
bride
yeah.
of Chucky. She asked if her dad knows, and I said yes. She was hurt, said that she had been planning on coming out for so long and was riddled with anxiety every time she tried to speak to me or her dad about it, and that I should have told her that I knew so she could skip all the near anxiety attacks. I said that there was always a chance I could be wrong, or that she could be bi or pan, and in the end, she is a separate person and her sexuality is not my business. I told her I love her so much and that this changes nothing and that I welcome any partner of hers. She nodded with the head but started crying and went to her room. I finished making the cake, but she went out that night with her friends instead. I saved the cake in the fridge and waited for her to come home, but when she arrived, she went straight to her room. Today, she left for school, barely saying good morning to me. I don't know if I was too cold, too distant, or whatever. Is there something wrong with me? Am I the arsehole?
So I don't know what the term is for this. Like, because normally when there's like, everyone's the asshole, I don't know if there's a thing say like, no one's the asshole.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, like
So-
no assholery afoot.
Yes, I don't think what she was, the mother obviously didn't mean anything negative or horrible by it.
She's 46 as well.
Yes.
So I think maybe just like, well, you already knew. It's kind of
Yeah,
like,
I think it was just a little bit, is ignorant the right word? I'm not sure. Like, I also understand the child's frustration because to a young person,
Yeah.
coming out and being gay and not accepting it and then doing it is a huge deal.
Yeah, it
And
is.
it may not be to you, but like, unfortunately, like, unless you're LGBT, it's very difficult to truly relate to the feeling of coming out and be like it being such a huge thing you've hidden for so long. So I understand her frustration, but I also think like she's also just being a 15-year-old child. Like children kind of stop, they will have their own little moments and everything, regardless of what the situation is. Like, so
teenagers. That's
yes,
just
exactly.
how they behave.
I just think everyone's a little bit like, no one's the asshole, but no one's also
I think it could have been handled a little bit differently. Like, I think when it comes to these sorts of stories, the only way... Oh my God, it's raining so hard.
It is raining.
The only way...
We really needed
we
this.
really needed this. The drought, girls. I feel like the only way that I can really, like, give advice on this situation is if I imagine myself in this role. If I was the mother in that situation and my daughter came to me and was like, I'm a lesbian, I wouldn't be like, I know, whilst busy doing something. I would immediately have been like...
Just hug them.
Thrown my arms around them and been like, oh... Thank you so much for telling me. I did have a little wonder. How do you feel?
Yes,
how
yes,
did you come up with that?
yes.
And instead of just being a bit cold and like, I know, and move on. Because clearly it's a massive deal to this girl in this case.
What did the thing say? What have they said?
Oh, no assholes.
No, oh, okay, no one is the asshole, yes.
Yeah, no one is the asshole. I mean, I've never really had like a full-on coming out story like that. I never really
No, neither did I. No.
I wasn't really given the opportunity. I just kind of like... I've been always a very visibly queer person since the day I was born. So it's like I didn't really get that opportunity. I just kind of was like, this is happening now.
That's the thing. For my family-wise, no one was shocked at all.
Yeah.
And again, I didn't technically kind of come out with my sister. I actually told my sister when I was 12, 11 or 12, I don't know exact age. And she was fine with it, blah, blah, blah. But like when I sort of went to high school and got bullied, I went back in the closet and was like, no, women.
I think that's sensible though, because that's self-preservation.
Yes,
If you were in a comfortable environment, that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. And I think, so when I came out to my sister, like 6 years later, I kind of like just made a joke one time and we just started talking about guys. There was no... A bit like what the mum said, I was expecting you to come home with a girl one day.
Yeah.
I just kind of started talking about guys with my sister and it just carried on. There was no coming out. The only people that I really came out to was like school friends. But even then it was like, yes, all of them knew, but they were also my age and young. So I think sometimes they, they're not going, yeah, we know, you idiot, or like, yeah, we know you're gay on your face. They're like, oh, okay, that's wonderful, let's carry on.
Written all over your face is a bit of an insult, actually. So I'm a little bit like, I actually completely forgot until you said it just then that actually was said. Yeah, I would never have said that to someone. The point isn't that you saw it all along. The point is that you're child has come to you with a problem
Yeah.
and wants to share that problem.
Well, essentially, this is the thing. It's not about you. It's
the
about
first,
it's about
the first
them.
letter out of her mouth was I know. It's
Yes,
like,
yes,
well,
yeah.
no, actually don't say me. It's all about me, girls. I still don't feel like a parent should come to their child and be like, you gay?
Well, that's
Are
also
you
the
gay?
thing. Like,
yeah,
if
don't
she-
do that.
You know, the child saying, "I wish you told me you'd known," but also that's the thing. If she was to come to you and say it, you probably would have been on the defensive as well anyway.
Yes, yeah.
So I don't think there's ever really like an optimal moment to kind of
No.
have that conversation.
All you can do is create like a welcoming environment. And if you have a suspicion, you could always literally just be like, oh, have you seen that blah, blah, blah piece of queer media or something? And been like, oh, I actually really like that. I think it's very good for them. So
yes,
at
that's
least then-
perfect. That was a perfect way of doing
least
it.
then your child knows your stance on the idea of being queer.
Yes.
Easy.
Yes.
So yeah, no assholes, but
No.
could have been handled a bit better.
Yeah. So both of you go to the guillotine.
Yeah, guillotine for everyone. Electric chair.
So, Luxeria, this has been fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
I always like these stories
I
because
love
I
them.
feel like it brings out so much more of like our personalities that we don't usually have like reason to share.
yeah,
Like,
because we wouldn't really talk about this stuff
we
unless
wouldn't
we have a
usually-
reason to it.
Yeah,
Like,
we don't usually talk about like, well, we do talk about hateful things, but we don't talk about.
Why would
like,
we talk about
people
marriages of
being
people
hateful?
being,
Yeah,
like,
weddings?
yes,
When have
yeah.
I ever made wedding? Bridal plastic.
Bridal
Stab!
plastic. Some of your career, Luxeria, was
I
about
know,
weddings.
I was just actually. I talk about weddings all the time. Never mind.
So yeah, I mean, like I feel like these definitely bring out different sides that we
Yes.
wouldn't normally share. So
Yes.
we're really glad that you enjoy it.
Yes.
Hopefully you enjoyed this third part as well.
Yes.
And as always,
Yes.
in 6 months' time we can make a part 4.
Yes.
If it does well, if you still
God,
like
part
it.
4. Have we done a part 4 of anything just yet?
I think Cursed Images we've done 4.
Have we?
Yeah.
Oh, spooktisha.
Spoke to it. Thank you
with
so much
that-
for watching this.
Yes.
I hope you've enjoyed.
Yes.
Please hit the like button,
Yes.
subscribe, notification bell,
Yes.
and of course the audio version, if you prefer to just listen to it normally, is going to be
Yes.
up as well on
Yes.
SoundCloud. Maybe some extra bonus content as well.
Desk.
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 Delicatessen. Oh, coming on, cash
Oh,
desk.
yes.
Ooh. Anyway, my nose just stabbed myself. Anyway, love you all. See you soon.
Au revoir,
Goodbye,
liaise.
liaise.
Au revoir, liaise.